Today I'll be attempting to make 10 animated short films in 10 hours. There's 10 hours of real time, including breaks. It's probably more like 8 hours of actually working on it. It is 10:30 AM, or 10:31 now, and I have until 8:30 PM to finish. Let's get started. I'm going to be using this random word generator for every animation to base it off of. Let's ignore the one that's already here, but generate a random word. Wording. Okay, I can use that. I'm gonna make an animation based off of that. So I guess I'm also writing all of them in this time. I'm gonna try to also get all the sounds in, but we'll see. Maybe I'll add that afterwards. Okay, wording. My thinking with wording is it's a conversation between two people. One of them words something ambiguously. There's a misunderstanding. Well, the specifics is where this gets challenging. Okay, I have an idea based on a stupid little one-liner pun thing I wrote. It's to do with pizza dough. I don't know if I should spoil these because a lot of them are like little jokes or punchlines. I should start animating it. I set the scene with a soft green gradient in the background and a table with some dough on it. Then I drew all these white dots and lines over it to hopefully give it the illusion of flour. Yeah, that's some flour. For the main character I made this bean guy. A little blue. Not sad, just literally blue. This design is just fast to draw and still appealing. He actually looks kinda like a ghost, so feel free to headcanon that. I'm also going to be voice acting all the ones that require voice acting. There's a couple lines in this one. I'm not a very good voice actor, but I just gotta do everything myself. I do have a big mic on my desk that's not the one on my shirt. Well, I guess I've made the dough, but what's the next step in making a pizza? Okay. Give it a listen, give it a cut, Control A, amplify. Yeah, that's good. So I dropped in all the dialogue and got to work on lip syncing. That is the vast majority of what this particular shot entails. There's also another character that pops in. This one's kind of orangey brown. I put shading on both of them to make it look cooler, and also it distinguishes them. The main character does move and change expression once, but I'm gonna leave it there and show you the finished product. Well, I guess I've made the dough, but what's the next step in making a pizza? Dude, you have to knead the dough. Oh. Please, dough, I can't live without you. Please, I need you. I need you. Well, that's a good start. I think it looks alright. Like you could take a screenshot and it doesn't necessarily look like it was slapped together really quickly. It just has a certain style. A little bit simple. I finally got to use one of the silly ideas from my big list for the first time in a while. Hopefully it's funny, but moving on to the next shot. Okay, the first is done. It's almost 11:30, so I'm kind of on pace, but not really, because I'm going to be taking breaks. So let's just roll the next word. Connection. Alright, I could probably do something with that. So I'm just going to make a new scene in the same file for each animation. Maybe I should folder these things. Okay, connection. There's a new horror movie that I think is not even out yet called Together. I'm just basing this off like posters. I don't even know what it's about, but kind of want to fuse two characters together, so I'm going to think about that. Yeah, that could work. It starts off cute, and then they just meld together and it's horrifying. I didn't do any sound effects for the last one except for voice acting. I don't know if I'll add more in post. I already gave away the whole plot of this one, but let's go through it. I made a blue square as a guy character, then also animated a blink inside a symbol. So this will be able to loop as I move it across the screen. The other character is a pink circle girl. There's really nothing to indicate that this is a woman aside from it being pink. Kinda gender stereotyping from me there, but you'll see, or hear later on, a womanly scream in the mix. She also blinks, and I animated them both floating toward each other with tweens. For the fusion, I drew what I wanted the final state to be, then drew some in-betweens. I also had them rotate and shrink as if they're falling into the abyss. To sell the fusion a bit more, I had small blobs flying off as they grew closer. Then a bright background that fades to darkness after the meld. With the animation done, I found some music on epidemicsound, not sponsored, and added some sound effects. Now, here's the final piece. Well, that was kinda horrific, but also fun and silly. I achieved what I set out to do, with little less than ideal amount of detail. Let's move on. Alright, 2 down. Gotta keep moving. It's 12:25. Next word is copper. Copper is just a piece of metal. Copper is also a cop. Alright, I've got it. Get a piece of copper piping or something. We're gonna make a cop pun. That's all I'm gonna say. I drew this copper pipe and laid it on the ground. Then I drew this blue guy with very thin limbs. Next he has to pick up this pipe in a cartoonish manner because it's quick and looks funny. I have some more wonderful voice acting to do for this one, just a couple of short lines. It appears to be some sort of... So I recorded my lines, dropped them into Adobe Animate, and animated the mouth movements. I'm gonna let this one be a surprise, so skipping to Premiere Pro, I added some additional audio outside the dialogue and called it done. It appears to be some sort of copper. Freeze! This one is very simple technically, but I like it. It's a fun watch. Also, I might have sounded a bit like Hank Hill at the end. And if no one was thinking that, well, I was. But yeah, quick little fun, pun-based animation. Let's move on. 3 down and it's 1:15. I think I should have a lunch break now, and then probably have to go even faster on the next few. We are back. It is 1:45, and I want to try to get this done by 2:30. That might be a pipe dream. I'm gonna generate a word. Road. Okay, that's pretty easy to implement. I don't know what my idea will be, but it will include a road. Yeah, I don't know if I'll do this or like this. I have an idea. Take a road that goes kind of normal for a while, but then it does a loop-de-loop. That is gonna be... Actually, I don't know how to do that properly. I'll figure it out. First step was making the loop. I used the line and circle tools in a not very scientific way. Then I made a car with simple geometry and a nice shine on the windows. It bounces up and down, which is barely noticeable while driving, but probably worth it. To make it drive around the loop, I used a motion guide and some tweens. But it turned out kind of complicated because it twists and then the car has to go behind the road for a bit. And then there's the easing. I managed to pull something together, even though it's clunky. But then once the green car drives off, a red one comes in. I'll leave the rest to imagination for now. I filled in the background nicely with some grass, hills, and railing. Lastly, some sound effects. I also did some voice acting, kinda, but didn't record it. Well, I think the specific speed and the smoothness of the loop could have been better, but as a humorous short, I think it does the job. Most of the effectiveness, I think, comes from the sound at the end when it cuts away, but it works. Also, I wish I put in some car driving sound effects. I don't know why I didn't do that, but I wanted to leave everything in here as it was, done within the 10 hours. Still, I don't mind it. Now let's roll the next word. Lead or lead. I guess I can interpret that either way. Okay, let's go. Well, I have an idea, but it is once again just a play on double meaning of words. So it's a winning formula. So this one's to do with pencil lead and following someone's lead. I started with a close-up shot between this red and yellow pencil talking. Then animated a speech bubble with some wobbling text. I had to do this with text rather than voice acting because the joke only works when written. In universe, it doesn't actually make sense, but it's just a silly short. Then we had a wide shot. There's some facial movement despite the no spoken dialogue. I decided to not use any more speech bubbles after the first one. Quite unnecessary. To animate the whole pencil, I just used tweens. Now, I'll not spoil the rest of the animation. I actually did record a line for this. Well, more of a noise. But here's the finished product. I quite like this one. Feels like it doesn't need to be any more complicated than it is. Going hi-fi with it might even do it a disservice. I suppose going full SpongeBob close-up with the final shot might have been good. I don't have time to paint such a lovely picture, but yeah, overall works quite well. The fifth animation is complete, which means we're halfway, but it's been 5 hours and 20 minutes, so a little bit behind schedule, but catching up. Gotta really speed through the next couple. Let's generate a word. Spider. I can work with that. I basically just have to have a spider character, or a spider landing on a character. Okay, there's kind of a battle in my head over whether I should spoil these while showing the making of them. For this one, I think it's worth not spoiling. I came up with the idea relatively quickly. First, I made this thing look like a TV by fading between different colors. We open with a behind shot of someone watching TV on a couch. Then there seems to be a spider gliding down on a web strand about to make a landing. I animated it a little bit. Some nice rim lighting on the couch, then I did the reverse shot. What happens next? You'll have to wait and see. After animating everything, I put it in Premiere Pro and added various sounds, like nondescript TV noises, and it is done. I'm happy with that. The spider sure isn't. The human, or human-looking thing, definitely seems to be. I think I executed that relatively well. I don't know if the punchline was obvious. Maybe let me know. I realized there's been a lot of horror elements in this video, but pretty lighthearted. Will there be more to come? Maybe. Number 6 done and dusted, 437. Let's get on with the next word. Alright, next word is fly. Very similar to spider in a way. It can be interpreted many ways. Let's do it. I went the flying route rather than the fly insect. Now, because I'm not good at drawing people and there's not much time, our hero is a stick man. I animated this waving cape and put a blue sky in the background. Then I drew 3 different clouds and had them move across the screen separately. I made another layer of those and faded them out a bit, moving at a different speed for a parallax effect. Just giving it some depth. That should be enough for a convincing flight through the sky. But then, using a mask, I turned the sky into a TV screen. I made all the associated graphics and did a zoom out to reveal he's not actually flying. The brand on the TV was supposed to be Panasonic instead of Panasonic, but it got covered up by boxes anyway. I'll leave the animating time-lapse there. For the audio this time, I just used one music track. That's all it needed. Were you surprised by the second zoom out? I did want to leave something to be revealed. So it's like the house from Up situation. It's supposed to be balloon strings on top of the roof, but I don't know how clear that is, but I tried to imply it. Now what's interesting to me is the real sky in the background is a duplicate of the sky on the TV, and it makes it kind of look like the TV's a window. So it would have been good if I either went the way of actually making the TV a window, or making the 2 skies distinct enough that it's clear that it was a TV. It's kind of in the middle right now, but there's a fun ambiguity in that. Well, let's move on to the 8th movie. Managed to get that one done a little bit faster. Decent concept and execution, so cool. Generator word, hunting. It can be difficult to animate, but very clear conceptually. I think we do take it quite literally, but whatever's being hunted is like hidden the whole time, behind these bushes or something. So I first drew this green guy holding a bow and arrow, ready to shoot. Then I made all the background elements, including some grass, bushes, and trees, with some more land and trees further back. The first shot is a camera zoom with a 3-layer parallax. Might as well do something cool like that. Next I made one of the bushes shake a couple times, implying some sort of creature behind it. Out jumps this cute orange thing. There's not much of a plot twist here, so I don't mind spoiling the whole short. He says hello, then basically gets immediately arrowed in the face. No gore, just a really dumb and kinda dark turn of events. I tried to make a couple impact frames on the release of the bow and the hit, but something about it just wasn't working. So I let go of that, did the final side shot, and moved on to sound. There were a few things to tackle. Ambient noise, rustling, the arrow. I also recorded myself saying hello. That was okay. In an ideal world, I would have had more of a build-up, better artwork, made the arrow shot more dramatic, but not bad for something just thrown together. Now for the penultimate animated short. I was contemplating having a dinner break at this point, but 6:30, I have exactly 2 hours left. I think I should keep going. So new random word is clay. Alright then, don't know what to do with that. I guess you could do like clay pots. That's not what that was. Oh well, I'll think of something. I took the clay pot idea and formulated a plan. It's set in a museum, probably, but the background is simplistic enough that it can be anywhere. So this clay pot is on display and it'll have a sign saying do not touch. This guy of course touches it. I did a little bit of motion tweening on the arm and switched from a normal palm to the index finger pointing out. Touching it is a huge mistake. I can't really save anything for the reveal, so what happens is he basically turns into a pile of clay. I tweened the colors more brown while leaning back, then drew the final position of the clay pile. I had one in between frame for a fast fall. Also a bit of squash and stretch after landing. Now to put a sign on the display and a basic background. I added some dark blue shadows for atmosphere and to sort of shine a light on the object. I had some sound work to do and it was complete. Well, that was fun. It's kind of dramatic in a goofy way. A very simple and straightforward, contained thing. I think the transformation worked out quite well. Not a lot to it, but pretty solid. And now we only have one left. That is number 9 done. Well, we've only got one left, so I'm gonna generate a word and get this done. Okay, it glitched, but it says item. It's almost too broad. I feel like I should get something more specific because this is too easy. I'm gonna do a new one. Not restrictive enough. Okay. Lace. That's quite specific. Let's get to work. So, lace could refer to a shoelace, of course. There are other uses for the word, so I don't know if we'll necessarily do that. I did indeed base it around shoelaces. I'm gonna have a few pairs of shoes hanging from a power line. To make things easier, I drew them as silhouettes against a sunset sky. Then I fleshed out the background with some city buildings and clouds. This middle pair of shoes are going to break off. So first the laces stretch out. Then the shoes fall while the lace snaps back up. We cut to a close-up of the road below. The background stays the same, just slightly moved up. I drew this worm almost as a silhouette, but it's just really dark and you can see some of the shine. It's wriggling forward, which I just did as a tween with no secondary animation. I guess I was pretty fatigued at this point. So the shoes come slamming down, but luckily the worm has escaped unharmed. I animated a small bounce on them, and I'll leave the ending a surprise. As for audio, just a subtle background noise and bits and bobs. Alright, that turned out okay. A little low effort on the details and animation, but the vision's there. I think the general silhouetted foreground sunset background looks aesthetically pleasing. I'm glad I could maintain a somewhat consistent quality from the 1st to the 10th shot, so it's a win. I've done it! All 10 animations complete with 20 minutes to spare. Didn't completely lose motivation at the end. That was interesting. Kind of forced me to be creative, get a bunch of stuff out there. Pretty pleased with how everything went, so that's good. Well, thank you for watching, hope you had a blast. Hope to see you in another video soon, and goodbye. Well, I guess I've made the dough, but what's the next step in making a pizza? Dude, you have to knead the dough. Oh. Please, dough, I can't live without you, please, I need you, I need you. It appears to be some sort of copper. Freeze!
Oh, wow. What's up?